Welcome back. Some very sad news for you now. Linda Nolan, Colleen's sister, who was diagnosed with secondary breast cancer in 2017, has died at the age of 65. In a statement just released, it is with profound sadness that we announce the passing of Linda Nolan. She passed peacefully with her loving siblings by her bedside, ensuring she was embraced with love and comfort during her final moments. Linda's legacy extends beyond her incredible achievements in music and entertainment. She was a beacon of hope and resilience, sharing her journey to raise awareness and inspire others. Rest in peace, Linda. You will be deeply missed, but never forgotten. We've been talking about Linda for so long, haven't we, with Colleen, and I know like it was an incredibly tough time for the family, but you're just never prepared. You're never prepared.
Nothing prepares, because there is a moment when the light goes out, and when the light goes out, that is the most awful shock, isn't it? Whatever. So, and they've been through so much as a family, and it just, sending all our love.
Yes, absolutely, to Colleen and Linda's family, all of the family indeed, we're thinking of you all today. On to our guests today, and new research has found that nearly half of people in the UK are concerned about their finances. Well, our guest today is here to help. She's an influencer and social media star who's amassed a huge following online for her very savvy money-saving hacks.
3 money tips to help you. Toy rotation. Label boxes Monday to Friday to give your child a different box of toys for that day of the week. I love to have a good clear out to make some extra cash. Sell the old to replace it with new. Bronte loves a movie night, but why not create a snack board and save money and watch a movie from home?
Please welcome Gemma Bird, aka Money Mum. Welcome, Gemma.
Hello, lovely.
I'm good, you?
Really good, thank you.
Good, good.
I always feel so guilty when I see you. I think I spend too much money. It's something we all just bury our heads in the sand with, isn't it, really? I know. And I think, personally, my life is so fast-paced. I'm always at the supermarket, grabbing everything, never looking at the prices. It's like the worst.
I know, yeah. I mean, I think for a lot of us, you know, food costs are, you know, one of the biggest. I mean, everything's gone up, hasn't it? There isn't anything.
And it's got smaller.
Yeah.
Butter.
Yeah, everything's got smaller and everything's gone up, but no one's wages have, so everything's out of kilter, like gas, electric, petrol, every single thing's gone up, but it doesn't seem like everything else has. So, like, yeah, food costs are, like, a huge... Because you have to eat, right?
But you've got families, you know, with young kids who don't understand that. What would you recommend that they do?
Yeah, so for me, as I say, that's something that you physically need. We all need to eat. So the first thing I always do, and I always have done, is I go through all my cupboards before I go shopping. I know it sounds really obvious, but lots of times, and my mother-in-law's one of them, she'll buy another can of beans and she's already got 5 cans of beans in. It's having a look around and seeing what you actually need. And then I've always done this, especially when the kids were little, is always made sure that I can make a dinner out of something. So I've always made sure I've got certain things in. But when I go around the supermarkets, especially if you sort of are on a budget and you do need to save, really good idea is, if you're not great at budgeting, when you're going around there, pick up a scanner, because when you're scanning it, it automatically adds the price up for you. And
does it?
Yeah.
I wondered what people would do.
Yeah.
That's good, isn't it? Because then you can put it back if you need to.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, so it's a really good one to do, because if you're scanning it, I think if you can see the number and you're like, oh my goodness me, it's already up to £100, because let's face it, it's a couple of bags of shopping nowadays.
It becomes real then, doesn't it?
Then it becomes real money and not this monopoly money that you're just putting in and doing it willy-nilly. And also taking your time in the supermarket, that's so important. Like, if you can save yourself a bit of money, like I've got lots of friends that say to me, but I don't have the time. But I said to my friend the other day, you know, you're in a job that she doesn't particularly like. She says she earns roughly £12 an hour. But I said, if you went to the supermarket and you spent an extra hour in there and you saved 30 quid, that's like sort of over 2 hours work that you have to do to earn that money. So if you start thinking about it like that, like I always say, like, really appreciating that just that £10 note, then it makes everything... I just think it's like your mindset starts to shift a bit,
And the
doesn't
other
it?
thing is, I'd like to add a little tip here. Don't go to supermarket hungry.
Yeah,
You just start salivating and buying a whole load
Yeah.
of stuff, and then you haven't got a proper meal when you get home. You've just got everything you fancy.
Yeah, yeah, everything that you fancied as well.
Because you're a great believer in sticking to the list, aren't you?
Yeah, I am, and I think that's my mum. That's the way she's brought me up. Like, we were brought up, we didn't have any money, and mum was always like, "No, you can't have this. No, you can't have that." And I think it's, you know, being brought up and mum always saying, "You've got to work for your money. No, we're not having this." Like when you go around the supermarket, I'd be like, "Can I have them yogurts?" I'd be like, "We had them last week," and she always used to say, "You had them last week, Gemma, because they were on offer." You know, you're not having them this week.
That's really interesting because you say the word no. And not many people like to use the word no now.
Yeah.
But you think it's something that we should really be advocating again for our kids.
Yeah, I'm such a great believer in it. Like, I think there's nothing wrong with saying no to your children. Like, to be honest, I say no more than I say yes. That's my main vocabulary. Can I have a no? Can I have no? And
They feel like they've won when they get a yes.
And of course, I'm not a mean mum. I do let them have things, but you know, my daughter Bronte, she's 5 years old. She's going to go into shops and she's going to ask for things. You know, like she'll go into like Poundland, for example, and she'll ask for something in there. And as I always say to her, like, OK, well, you can have two things. It's not about whether I can afford it or not. I mean, they're a couple of pound. But I say to her, no, you can have one thing, because I just want her to understand that she can't have everything in life, because I'm a great believer in that. Like, mum and dad used to teach me that they give you get a set amount of money, you've got to make it last. Because if we don't teach the young children this, then you can't go to we couldn't all now go to our bosses and say, "Oh, I'm really sorry, I went out with Kelly last night and we've spent all our money. Can we have 500 quid? Your boss would be like, "No, Gemma and Kelly, you can't have an extra £500. You've got to make your money last." So I just think saying no to your kids isn't a bad thing. Of course, you can sometimes say yes, but we need to be more
It's
of it.
weird, even just going back, like when I was a little girl and you get some money for your birthday or something, there was the physical money, so you could see it and you'd go and you'd buy whatever and you'd get your change and you'd put that back in the money box. I think it's changed for young people and children now as well. The actual
goes
physical
invisible.
nature
Yeah, I
of
think
having
there is a bit
something.
of fear
in
of
front
saying
you.
no as well. My mum was like that. It was no to everything.
Yeah.
She told me the ice cream van was pure poison, would die. You know, all she would say anything just to increase on the no.
I love your mum.
She would have loved to have you instead of me. But you're also big on relationships and being informed on the money side, because a lot of people, myself included, tend to just go, "It's boring." I mean, you do a monthly sort of spreadsheet, don't you? And I do feel a bit unwell when you say those words. Because I couldn't think of anything worse.
And you do that with your husband?
Yeah, so...
What do you do?
I've always been really in control of my money. Like, I remember being 7 years old, walking to school, looking for pennies on the floor, because Mum was always like, "You are not having money for the tuck shop because we've bought the food from the supermarket. It's £5." And now as a mum, I'm now my mum, because I'm like, "No, I'm not giving you money for the tuck shop. You can get £5 for a pound. £5 for a pound. It's 20p each. I'm not giving you £2 to buy it at school." So I am now my mum, so she will be laughing. But what I do think is really, really important is, it's like splitting it all up. And as you say, like, you haven't got to give them absolutely everything in that one moment, have you? You know?
But what do you do with the spreadsheet?
Oh, the spreadsheet, right. So, the spreadsheet. So, basically, I like to write everything down, pen and paper. I'm not great on computers. I mean, I'm an influencer. I should be good on computers, but I have no idea what I'm doing. If the app goes down, I'm like, I don't know. But Adam, my husband, is brilliant. He likes to put everything in a spreadsheet. So, always, just once a month, the start of the month, we sit down and we just go over our finances. But I think I've always wanted to stay in control of it as well. Like, I went through a divorce when I was younger, and it was, you know, horrible. It affects my mental health, and I've got bad mental health anyway, and it's something I can stay on top of. And I always think, this sounds really morbid, but one day, you know, we are going to be on our own, whether that's somebody leaves or someone passes away. So I just think both parties, male and female, we need to be in control of our finances and know what we've got and where it's coming out of. You know, like, who's your gas with? Who's your electric with? Who's your car with? All these important things that I'm just so passionate about that. So I think if we teach it to sort of young children and they grow up thinking it's normal to ask
Why
about
do you
money.
think couples aren't doing that, though? Why do so many people just go, "Oh, my husband deals with that," or "My mum deals with that"? Why do you think people don't want to take that financial independence on board, or that responsibility?
Yeah, I personally think maybe it's where people have been brought up. Maybe they've had a dad that's dealt with it all, and that's how they've seen their mum and dad deal with it all. So then it's gone down and they think, well, I don't work, so he deals with it all. So, like, in our
It can also
home-
be quite boring and intense.
was
I'm
gonna
not
say.
good with it. I'm just terrible
Also,
with
I
maths.
think
So
it's like
hard to
tacky as well.
engage, isn't
like,
it?
It's such a dirty word, isn't it? Talking about money and how much money you've got or how much money you haven't
you
got.
see it as
why
dirty.
do you think it is such a taboo to talk about money and saving money and spending money?
I think from such a young age, from day dot, you are told, don't talk about money. Don't tell people what you
almost
earn.
rude, isn't
You're
it?
not allowed to
Yeah.
talk about it at all. Like, if I said this earlier, actually, and I said, if I walked over and I was like, hi, Marlene, you're right, how much money do you earn a year?
Yeah.
You'd be absolutely horrified. When I walked out, you'd all talk about me like, she's so rude. I can't believe she said that. So I think because we're saying this to young, whereas I think it's so important that we're starting to teach it in schools and just having open and honest conversations and saying, you know, when you get your first job, maybe this is the time to put some money away because before you've got children or...
I love you.
when
I agree.
you know, like when you get your first job, like if we said to our kids now, you're getting paid £1,500, for example, right? And you're living at home, say, with mum and dad, and say you pay £100 a week in housekeeping. Now, not everyone's got that benefit. Not everyone's got a nice home, and I totally, you know, understand that. But if they do, they've got £1,100 surplus. That's probably the richest they're ever going to be in the next 20 years because they're going to meet people.
yeah.
If we said to our younger generation, look, put away £700 a month of that money, in 4 or 5 years' time, they'd have their deposit for their first times. This is when we need to be talking to them about it. What do they do if they're in debt?
So true.
Sorry, I'm so passionate.
No,
and you're
agree.
just
I love
so-
it.
so
Passionate
right.
about it. It's
Honestly,
like
you're
mortgages as well. All these things, like there's interest. We need to make sure it's not a dirty word. That if you are in debt, you can come to me and say, I can't afford to do it. And these WhatsApp groups, when everyone's like, oh, shall we all get together and go out and it's £100? Well, your money situation is different to mine. Mine is different to yours, and so on, and different to people here. We're all money affects every single person in this room. There's not one person that it doesn't affect.
So we shouldn't be
So
embarrassed.
we should be talking about it.
We should, absolutely. And you're doing it. You're doing it for us online, which is why you've been so successful with it. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much.
honestly,
Love to
Money
see
Mum.
it.
You can see why she's got the title. She's brilliant, isn't she? Thank you so much, Jennifer and everybody. Thank you. Still to come. It's a question you might not think to ask yourself, but how often do you feel loved? We're going to be revealing the things that make us feel cherished and what our partners do to show us that they care as well. We'll see you after this.